The night was silent, broken only by the sound of a baby crying. It was not a normal cry. It was sharp, weak, and painful, like the voice of life slowly fading away. The sound came from the ruins of an old alien village, where broken walls stood, like shadows of the past. In the middle of that broken place, a young alien mother sat on the cold ground. Her skin, once glowing with health, now looked pale and tired. Her long hair was tangled and dusty. She held her baby close, pressing the small mouth to her chest again and again, but no milk came. Her eyes filled with tears, and she whispered softly, "Please drink. Please, but my milk is gone." The baby cried louder, shaking weakly in her thin arms. The sound was like knives in her heart. She had not eaten for many days. Her body was empty and her milk had dried up. Other aliens had called her useless, had left her behind to die with her child. But she would not give up. She would fight for her baby until her last breath. Her legs shook as she stood. In the distance, faint firelight burned in the darkness. She had heard whispers about a human living near the ruins. She did not know if the human was dangerous, kind, or even real. But she had no choice. Her child's life depended on it. Step by step, she walked toward the fire. The stones cut her feet, but she did not stop. Every cry of her baby gave her strength. She whispered again and again, "Hold on, my child. Hold on just a little longer." At the campfire, a man sat quietly, sharpening a piece of metal. His clothes were rough and torn, showing he had traveled far. His eyes looked tired but alert, scanning the darkness. He was human. Suddenly he froze. He heard something, a sound that did not belong to the night. Soft footsteps, and the weak cry of an infant. He stood up quickly, gripping the sharp metal, like a weapon. From the shadows, the alien mother appeared, carrying her child. She looked fragile, almost ready to fall. The human raised his weapon, his heart racing. She stopped a few steps away, trembling, then fell to her knees. The baby cried louder, its small hands reaching into the cold air. The mother pressed her forehead to the ground and spoke, her voice breaking. "Human, help me, please. My baby has not fed for days. My milk is gone. I have nothing left to give. If you do not help, my child will die." The man lowered his weapon slowly, shock in his eyes. He had fought aliens before. Many had tried to kill him, but never had one begged him like this. The mother raised her face. Her cheeks were wet with tears, her lips cracked from thirst. "I beg you, do not let my child die. Take my life if you must, but feed my baby. Please." For a moment, silence filled the camp. The firelight flickered between them. The human looked at the child's thin face, the mother's shaking arms, and the desperation in her eyes. His hand loosened on the weapon. His heart felt heavy. He had not planned for this. He lived alone, far from war and noise, trying to survive, quietly. But now, fate had brought this fragile mother and her starving child to his fire. He sighed, taking a step forward. "Get up," he said firmly. "Sit by the fire before you collapse." The alien mother looked at him, hope and fear mixed in her eyes. She moved closer, sitting near the warmth. Her body trembled from weakness. The baby cried again, and she held it tightly, whispering soft words in her own language. The human took out a small canteen of water and held it out. She grabbed it quickly, but before drinking, she touched the water to her baby's lips. The child sucked weakly, calming, a little. Only then did she drink herself, her throat shaking as the water went down. When she looked up, her eyes shone with tears. "Thank you, but water is not enough. My child needs milk, food, something to live." The man's jaw tightened. He had some supplies, but nothing made for a baby. He felt a storm inside. Why should he risk his safety for strangers? Yet, as he watched the child's small chest rise and fall, his heart whispered that he could not turn away. The fire crackled, filling the silence. The night felt heavier, the stars above watching the strange meeting of human and alien. The mother held her baby close, whispering again, "Please, human, save my child." The man stared at her for a long time, then finally spoke. "I don't know if I can, but I will try." The mother's eyes widened, hope lighting her tired face. The baby's cry softened, as if it too understood. And in that moment, a choice was made. A human and an alien mother sat by the same fire, their fates now tied together by the weak heartbeat of a starving child. The night was no longer silent. It carried the beginning of something new, something that would change all their lives. The fire burned low, sending small sparks into the night air. The human sat across from the alien mother, watching her carefully. She looked so weak that even the firelight seemed stronger than her. Her child lay in her arms, no longer crying, loudly but letting out soft, tired whimpers. The man had given them water, but he knew it was not enough. The baby needed food, real food. He sighed and rubbed his forehead, thinking of the little supplies he had left. They were meant for him, to help him survive the next week. Sharing them would be risky. But could he really say no to a starving child? The alien mother suddenly looked at him. Her big glowing eyes were filled with fear and hope at the same time. She lowered her head and whispered, "Human, I beg you. My baby has not eaten in days. I tried everything. I even chewed roots and tried to feed him, but he was too weak to swallow. He needs milk or he will die." Her voice shook as she spoke. She clutched the child tighter, rocking back and forth. "Others called me useless. They said a mother who cannot feed her own baby should be left behind. They abandoned me, but I cannot abandon him. He is all I have left." The human clenched his fists. Her words cut into him like a blade. He remembered the war, remembered how he had seen mothers cry over children who never woke up again. That memory was enough to make his chest heavy. "I don't have milk," he said in a low voice. "I have rations, but they are not meant for babies. I don't know if he can survive on them." The alien mother leaned forward, her eyes desperate. "Then give him even a drop, even a taste. Please, he must try, or he will fade." Her sudden movement made her almost fall. She was too weak to sit straight. The human quickly stood and steadied, her by the shoulder. Her skin felt cold, trembling under his touch. She looked up at him again, whispering, "I will do anything. Please, save my child." For a moment, he stayed quiet. The fire cracked behind them. The baby whined softly, and the stars shone cold above. Finally, he nodded. "All right, I'll see what I can do." He walked to his pack, pulling out a small tin box. Inside were pieces of dried food, high in energy but hard to chew. He frowned, thinking. Then he remembered a pot he carried for boiling water. He crushed the dried ration into smaller pieces, poured water and set it over the fire. The alien mother watched closely, her hands tightening around her child. "What are you doing?" she asked weakly. "Trying to make something soft," he replied. "Maybe he can drink it as a soup, why?" Nodded quickly, her eyes never leaving the pot. Every second felt like an hour to her. She brushed her lips against her baby's forehead, whispering in her own tongue, begging him to stay alive just a little longer. When the food softened, the man stirred it into a thick liquid. He poured a little into a small cup and cooled it with his breath. Carefully, he dipped his finger into the mixture and touched it to the baby's lips. The mother held her breath. The baby moved its tiny mouth, licking the taste, then let out a weak sound. The human tried again, letting a drop fall into the baby's mouth. Slowly, painfully, the baby swallowed. The mother gasped and covered her mouth with her hand, tears spilling down her cheeks. He swallowed. "He is still strong enough." The human continued, drop by drop, until the baby's eyes closed and its small body relaxed. The crying stopped. The baby had fallen asleep, his little chest rising and falling with a calmer rhythm. The mother let out a sob of relief. She pressed her lips to the baby's head again and again, whispering, Thank you, thank you. He will live. He will live. The man sat back, exhaling heavily. He had seen soldiers die with less struggle. This tiny life had fought harder than many grown men. After a long silence, the mother looked at him again. Her voice was soft, but it carried all the weight of her heart. I owe you everything. I have nothing to give in return, but I will serve you, follow you, protect you if I can. Just let my baby live. The human shook his head slowly. I don't need your service, I just couldn't watch a child die. But deep inside, he felt something stir. He had been alone for so long, avoiding both humans and aliens. Now, for the first time in years, someone sat by his fire and called on him for help. The mother's eyes softened as she studied him. Others feared you. They said humans were cold, dangerous, without mercy. But I see now. They were wrong. The man gave a tired half smile. Don't be too sure about that. I'm not a hero. I only did what I had to. Still, the mother bowed her head deeply, holding her baby close. To me, you are more than a hero. You are hope. Without you, I would already be mourning my child tonight. The fire burned lower, but the bond between them grew stronger in the shadows. For the first time in many nights, the mother closed her eyes without fear, her child safe in her arms. But the human stayed awake, staring into the darkness. He knew this was only the beginning. Out there, dangers moved like wolves, and keeping them both alive would not be easy. The night stretched on, heavy with silence. Yet under the stars, something unspoken had begun. A fragile connection between two different worlds, born from a mother's desperate plea and a human's unwilling heart. The morning came slowly, painting the sky in shades of gray and gold. The alien mother opened her eyes, her baby still sleeping peacefully in her arms. For the first time in many days, she saw her child resting without tears, her heart filled with fragile hope. The human sat near the fire, already awake. His eyes were red from staying up all night. He looked at her and then at the baby. He survived the night, the man said quietly. The mother nodded, her voice breaking. Because of you? Because of what you gave him? She looked at the little pot where the remains of the food mixture still sat, but she knew it would not last long. The baby needed more, and soon. The human rubbed his jaw, thinking. That was only a small solution. He cannot live on that for long. He needs proper food. His tone was heavy, like he already knew what that meant. The mother hugged her baby tightly, fear in her eyes. Where can we find it? The man looked toward the horizon, where the ruins stretched for miles. There is an old outpost not far from here. Before the war, supplies were kept there. If we're lucky, something still remains. The mother's eyes widened. An outpost? But raiders search the ruins. And beasts. They hunt at night. They know. Human gave a small shrug. Yes, that's why it's dangerous. But without it, your baby will not last more than 2 days. I don't like the odds either, but I have no choice. The mother lowered her head. She could not argue. Her baby's shallow breaths told her everything. She looked at the human, her voice trembling. Then I will come with you. He is my child. I will not leave him. The man frowned. You can barely stand. You'll slow me down. Her eyes flashed with stubborn fire even through her weakness. I carried him through nights of hunger and storms. If I can do that, I can walk beside you. If he dies, I die too. So let me come. The human stared at her for a long time. Finally, he gave a short nod. All right, but stay close, and if danger comes, don't try to be a hero. Protect the child first. The mother clutched the baby tighter, whispering, always. They left as the sun rose higher. The ruins stretched like broken bones, sharp edges of stone and metal gleaming under the light. Every step echoed in the silence. The mother's breath came slow and heavy, her body weak, but she never let go of her child. The human moved ahead, scanning the ground. His hand never left the grip of his weapon. He was alert, like a hunter in enemy land. At one point, the mother stumbled on the rocks. The man turned quickly and caught her before she fell. She gave him a weak smile. "I told you, I will walk, even if I must crawl." He did not answer, only helped her steady herself before moving again. Deep inside, though, he felt respect. She was frail, yet her spirit was unbreakable. By noon, they reached the edge of the old outpost. It stood like a black skeleton against the sky, its walls half destroyed, its gates broken. Silence wrapped the place, but it was not the silence of safety. It was the silence of danger waiting. The human raised a hand, signaling the mother to stop. He crouched low, studying the shadows. "Stay here," he whispered. "I'll check inside first." But the mother shook her head, holding her baby tighter. "No. If I stay, I'll only fear. Let me come, even if I stay behind you." The man sighed but didn't argue. He moved forward and she followed closely, her eyes darting at every sound. The air inside the outpost smelled of dust and rust. The walls were covered in strange marks, scratches from claws, signs of raids. Their footsteps echoed too loudly. They entered a dark corridor, where broken crates lay scattered. The man bent down, searching through them. Most were empty, but then behind a pile of rubble he found a sealed container. His heart raced as he pulled it free. The mother leaned close, hope shining in her tired face. "Is it food?" The man pried it open with his knife. Inside were old ration packs, still sealed. Relief washed over him. "Yes, some are still good." The mother gasped softly, tears welling in her eyes. She kissed her baby's head, whispering, "He will live." But their moment of hope was cut short. From the shadows, a low growl echoed. The man froze, his knife tight in his hand. The mother clutched the baby to her chest, her eyes wide with fear. Out of the darkness, glowing eyes appeared. Then claws scraped against the floor. A beast larger than a man crawled forward, its teeth dripping with saliva. The human's body tensed. He pushed the mother back gently. "Stay behind me. Don't move." The creature growled louder, circling. Them, hungry eyes fixed on the child's weak cries. The air grew thick with tension. The human raised his weapon, ready to fight. His heart pounded, but his voice stayed calm. "We came here for food. Let's see if we live to eat it." The beast lunged and the fight began. The beast's roar shook the walls of the old outpost. The human stood firm, weapon in hand, while the alien mother pressed her baby tightly against her chest, her back against the cold wall. The creature's glowing eyes fixed on them, its saliva dripping on the dusty floor. The man waited for the right moment. As the beast lunged forward, he sidestepped quickly, slashing across its shoulder. A painful roar echoed through the ruins. Dust fell from the ceiling as the monster thrashed. "Stay down," the man shouted without looking back. The mother crouched lower, covering her baby's head. Her heart raced, every sound of the battle cutting into her soul. She whispered prayers in her alien tongue, rocking her child even as fear burned inside her. The fight was brutal. The beast charged again, claws slicing the air. The human ducked, rolled, and stabbed upward. His blade pierced the creature's chest. It screamed, stumbling backward, then finally collapsed into the rubble with a heavy thud. Silence filled the outpost. The human stood still, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. Blood smeared his arm, but most of it was not his own. He wiped his blade and turned back. The alien mother was trembling, tears streaming down her face. "You're safe," he said firmly, walking toward her. "It's dead now." She looked at him with wide eyes, voice breaking. You fought, like it was nothing." The man gave a half smile, shaking his head. "It wasn't nothing. I just couldn't let it touch you or the baby." Her tears fell harder. She lowered her head and whispered, "I owe you my life again." He did not reply. Instead, he bent down to the ration packs they had found earlier. The fight had nearly made him forget the reason they came. He pulled out one pack, checked it, and sighed in relief. Still sealed. Still safe. The mother's face lit up faintly. She leaned closer, eyes on the food. Will it work for him? The man hesitated. These are human rations, strong, high in energy, not made for a baby, especially not for an alien one. Her hope dimmed, but she whispered fiercely, I will try anything. I cannot watch him starve again. The man nodded. He heated some water, mixing it with the rations until it turned into a soft liquid. He poured a little into a small metal cap and held it out. The mother carefully touched the edge to her baby's lips. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the baby's mouth moved, taking in the strange food. Slowly, the weak cries softened, and the little chest rose and fell in steady breaths. The mother gasped, covering her mouth as her eyes overflowed. She whispered again and again, He's eating. He's eating. The human watched silently, something heavy lifting from his chest. For days, this child had been starving, yet still fought to live. That tiny willpower made even his battles feel small. The baby finished a little and then fell asleep in his mother's arms. She rocked him gently, tears dripping onto his face. You saved him again. He would be gone without you. The man shook his head. Don't thank me yet. These rations won't last forever, and there may be more creatures, or raiders nearby. We need to find more. The mother looked around, eyes wide. More? Where? The human stood, scanning the broken walls. This outpost has hidden storehouses. Military always kept emergency reserves underground. If we find them, maybe there's something better. Something safe for a child. The mother adjusted her baby in her arms and rose weakly to her feet. Then we must search. I will not leave until we do. Together they moved deeper into the outpost. The air grew colder, heavier. The hallways were filled with shadows, broken, machines, and old bloodstains. Each step echoed loudly, like the past was warning them. The man checked every wall carefully, tapping with his knife. Finally, in one corner, he found a panel half hidden by rubble. He pushed it open, revealing a staircase leading underground. The mother's breath caught. A hidden place. They descended slowly, the air thick with dust. At the bottom they found heavy doors, sealed tight. The man pushed hard, grunting, until they finally opened with a loud creak. Inside, rows of shelves stretched into the dark. Old containers, ration boxes, water tanks, all waiting in silence. The mother's eyes widened, glowing with hope. This is a treasure. The man stepped inside, checking the shelves. Many were broken, but some still held sealed supplies. He picked up a container labeled nutrient capsules. His heart skipped a beat. This might work for the child. The mother clutched her baby tighter, whispering, Please let it be true. The man opened one capsule, crushing it into powder, then mixing it with water. The liquid glowed faintly, a strange but clean light. He handed it to her. She hesitated, then touched it to the baby's lips. For a moment, silence. Then the baby drank slowly, steadily, more than before. His tiny body relaxed, his hands unclenching as if the pain had finally eased. The mother's tears fell freely. She bent low, kissing her child's head. He is feeding. He is living again. The human let out a long breath. At last, they had found something real, something that could save the child for more than a night. But before he could say anything, faint voices echoed from above. Rough, cruel voices. Raiders. The man's face hardened. He turned toward the door, blade in hand. We're not alone. They must have heard the fight. The mother's arms tightened around her baby. Fear burned in her eyes. They will kill us. The man gave her a steady look. Not if I stand first. The fire of danger lit in his eyes as footsteps grew closer. They had found food, but now they would have to fight for it. The air in the underground storehouse grew heavy with silence. The human and the alien mother froze as the voices above grew louder. Boots scraped on the broken stone floor, metal clanked against weapons, and cruel laughter echoed through the ruins. Raiders. The mother hugged her baby tighter, pressing his tiny head against her chest. Her eyes filled with fear, but also with fire. She had been abandoned before, mocked as worthless, but she would never let strangers take her child. The human crouched near the door, his knife gleaming faintly in the dim light. He looked at the woman. "Stay low. Do not move until I tell you." She nodded, though her hands shook. The baby whimpered softly, hungry again even after drinking the strange capsule mixture. The man's jaw tightened. Time was short. "Feed him now," he whispered quickly. "While you still can. He needs strength, and so will you." The mother's lips trembled. "But if they hear, better they hear a cry," the man said firmly. "Then watch him starve while we hide." Tears shone in her eyes. She understood. With shaking fingers, she lifted the small cup of liquid mixture he had prepared earlier. She touched it gently to the baby's lips. For a moment, nothing. Then the child's mouth moved, drinking greedily. Drop by drop, the strange glowing liquid slipped down his throat. His weak hands twitched, his body relaxing as life returned to him. The mother let out a sound between a sob and a laugh. "He's drinking. He's truly drinking." Her shoulders shook with relief. The human glanced back, his eyes softening for just a second. He had seen soldiers die, seen children wither in war zones. But here, in this hidden storehouse, he was watching life return, one drop at a time. The baby's cries softened, then stopped. His small chest rose and fell with steady breaths. His eyes closed, slipping into peaceful sleep. The mother's tears flowed freely. She pressed her lips to her child's head again and again, whispering, "Live, my heart, live, my little one." The man stood, turning back to the door, but then a loud crash echoed above. The raiders were closer now. Voices mocked the air. "Did you hear it?" A cry. A baby's cry. Another voice laughed. "Impossible. Who would carry a baby in ruins like these?" "Let's find out. Maybe it'll fetch us some coin." The mother's heart stopped. Her arms tightened protectively. Around her child, her breath came quick and sharp. She looked at the human, her eyes wide. He crouched lower, signaling her to stay silent. His expression was cold now, sharp like steel. He whispered, "They won't touch him. Not while I breathe." The door shook suddenly. Heavy boots stomped near the entrance above. The mother bit her lip, fighting the urge to cry out. She lowered her head, praying they would pass. But then the sound of metal scraping the floor echoed. Someone had found the hidden staircase. The man gritted his teeth, pulling his knife tighter. He looked back at the mother. "Keep him quiet. No matter what you hear, do not move." She nodded quickly, pressing her child close, rocking him softly as he slept. Her eyes burned with fear and love. The first raider appeared at the bottom of the stairs. His face was scarred, his smile cruel. Behind him, more shadows followed. "Well, well," the raider sneered, his voice echoing in the underground chamber. "What do we have here, a human and an alien woman with a child?" His grin widened. "Looks like luck brought us something new." The human stepped forward, blocking the path with his body. "Turn back. There's nothing here for you." The raider laughed loudly, his men joining in. "Nothing here? I see plenty. Food on the shelves, and maybe a price on the mother and the brat. And you, human? You'll fetch something too, dead or alive." The man's grip tightened. His voice was low, steady, dangerous. "You take one more step and it will be your last." For a moment the air stood still. The raider smirked and raised his weapon. "Let's see if your words are sharp as your blade." The fight broke out fast. The human moved like lightning, slashing across the raider's arm, spinning low and striking his leg. The raider screamed, falling to the ground. The others rushed forward, but the narrow staircase slowed them. The human fought like a storm, every move precise, his blade flashing in the dim light. The mother sat frozen, clutching her baby, every cry of pain making her flinch. Yet her child slept peacefully, as if trusting the man's strength. Finally, The last raider fell, groaning and crawling away. The survivors fled up the stairs, their shouts fading into the ruins. The man stood still, chest heaving, blood streaking his arm. He wiped his blade and looked back at the mother. She stared at him in awe, tears on her face. You stood against them all. He shrugged, though his eyes carried the weight of battle. They were nothing compared to what I've seen. But they'll be back. Raiders never forget when you draw blood. She lowered her head, whispering, "Still, you kept us safe. My child fed, my child alive, because of you." The man sat heavily by the wall, exhaustion finally catching him. He gave a tired smile. "Don't thank me yet. We'll need to move soon. But for now, at least he sleeps." The mother looked at her baby's peaceful face and then at the human. In her heart, something new began to grow. Trust. For the first time since she was abandoned, she felt she was not alone. The underground storehouse was quiet again, but the silence was heavy like the calm after a storm. The alien mother still clutched her baby, her arms trembling with both fear and relief. The child slept softly, tiny breaths steady and calm. His face no longer twisted with hunger. The human leaned against the wall, wiping sweat and blood from his face. His blade was red, his chest rising and falling from the fight. He looked tired, but his eyes stayed sharp. "They'll be back," he muttered, almost to himself. Raiders don't forgive easily. The mother lifted her head, her voice weak but certain. "Then we must leave this place." The man shook his head. "Not yet. There are more supplies here. Things that might keep the child alive. We cannot leave them behind." The mother hesitated, then nodded. She knew he was right, but her heart pounded. The raiders had seen them. Word would spread. She feared not only for herself but for the man who now stood between her baby and the cruel world. They searched quickly, moving through the dusty shelves. The human found more sealed packs and strange capsules, storing as many as he could in his bag. The mother followed slowly, never letting go of her child. Every creak of the building made her flinch. Then, from above, a distant horn blew. A long, low sound that made the walls tremble. The man froze. The mother's face went pale. "They're calling others," he said quietly. "More are coming." The mother clutched her baby tighter. "How many?" "Too many," the man replied. "Hunters. Raiders don't risk their lives twice. They send hunters to finish what they could not." The baby stirred in her arms, letting out a soft cry. She rocked him quickly, whispering, "Hush, my heart, hush." The man moved toward, the door blade ready. His voice was calm but firm. "Stay behind me. Do not run unless I tell you. If we're going to survive, we face them together." The sound of boots grew louder above. Shadows flickered against the broken walls. The raiders had returned, but this time with more men and heavier weapons. The first hunter stepped down into the storehouse. He was larger than the others, his armor patched together from scavenged metal, his face painted with dark marks. His eyes scanned the room and stopped on the human. "So you're the one who cut my men," he growled. His voice was deep, like thunder rolling across the ruins. "You should have run while you had the chance." The human stepped forward, blade raised. "And you should have stayed away." The hunter smirked, baring broken teeth. "We don't walk away from food. From loot, from weak mothers carrying crying children." His eyes shifted to the alien woman. "That one belongs to us. She always has." The mother's heart froze. She shook her head fiercely. "No, never again. I belong to no one." Her voice cracked, but her arms tightened around her child. The hunter laughed darkly. "Then you die with your brat, and the human dies too." He raised his weapon. Behind him, more raiders crowded the stairs, their eyes burning with greed. The man moved quickly. He shoved a shelf, sending a shower of dust and old boxes crashing down, blocking the narrow staircase. The hunters cursed, trying to push through. "Run," he shouted. The mother's legs trembled, but she obeyed, clutching her baby and stumbling toward the back of the storehouse. The man followed close, slashing at the first raider who broke through the rubble. Blood splattered across the stone floor. They moved deeper, the corridors twisting into the dark. The air grew colder. The mother's breaths came in gasps, but she never stopped. She could feel the baby's small heart racing against her chest. The man stayed behind her, blocking every strike, pushing her forward. His voice came low and steady. "Keep moving, don't stop, no matter what you hear." Behind them, the hunters roared, their boots pounding closer. The sound echoed through the stone halls. Finally, they burst into a wide chamber. Broken machines stood like dead giants, their wires hanging like vines. In the center, a rusted ladder led upward through a narrow shaft. "Climb," the man ordered. The mother shook her head. "What about you?" "I'll hold them off. Now climb." Her eyes filled with tears, but she obeyed. She gripped the ladder, holding her child with one arm, climbing slowly, painfully. Each step felt like a lifetime. The man stood below, blade ready, as the first hunters rushed into the chamber. He fought like a storm, steel flashing, blood spraying. Every strike was brutal, every move filled with purpose. The mother looked down, her body shaking. She wanted to scream for him to climb too, but her voice broke in her throat. She kept climbing, whispering prayers, her baby pressed tightly against her. The hunters howled, surrounding the man, but he never backed away. His blade cut through the dark, his face set with grim determination. At the top of the shaft, the mother pushed the cover open. Fresh air hit her face. She pulled herself out into the sunlight, collapsing onto the ground with her child safe in her arms. Tears poured down her cheeks. But below, the sounds of battle raged on. She turned, her heart breaking. "Human, come, please!" For a moment, silence. Then a roar of pain. The hunters screamed below, but one voice still rose above them. "The humans. I'll come, but you keep him safe first." Her tears fell harder. She clutched her baby, close, whispering, "Hold on. Please hold on." And the battle continued, the humans standing alone against the hunters, while the alien mother prayed for the man who had become their shield. The sunlight burned bright above the ruins, but the alien mother did not feel its warmth. She lay on the broken ground, holding her baby close, her body shaking with fear. Below her, in the darkness of the shaft, the clash of steel and the roars of hunters echoed. She pressed her face into her child's hair, whispering, "Please stay quiet, my little one. Please. Let him live. Let us all live." The baby stirred softly but did not cry. It was as if even the child knew that silence was survival. Suddenly a scream rose from the shaft, deep, violent, then cut short. She covered her mouth, her eyes wide with terror. She did not know if the voice belonged to a raider or to the human. Moments later, the sound of footsteps echoed below. Heavy, uneven footsteps. She leaned over the shaft, her heart in her throat. And then, he appeared. The human pulled himself up, his arm bleeding, his clothes torn, but his eyes alive. He climbed out, breathing hard, then collapsed onto the ground, beside her. She gasped, reaching for him. "You're alive." He gave a weak smile. "Takes more than that to stop me." Her tears spilled freely as she leaned closer, her baby between them. "You fought them all. You kept us safe." The man closed his eyes for a moment, catching his breath. "Not for free, they'll be back. Maybe more next time, but at least you and the child are safe today." The baby gave a soft sigh in his sleep, his face peaceful. The mother stroked his tiny head, whispering, "He lives because of you." "We both do." The man sat up slowly, wincing at his wounds. He looked at her, his voice steady but tired. "You can't stay here. They'll hunt you again. You need a safe place far from the ruins." She nodded, though her eyes filled with sadness. "I have no place left. My people abandoned me. They called me useless. I have nothing but him. She kissed her baby's forehead gently, then her gaze lifted to the human. Her voice was trembling but strong. And you? He blinked, surprised. Me? You are the reason he lives, she said. You are the reason I did not give up. To me, you are more than a stranger. You are family now. The man looked at her for a long time. He had walked alone for years, fighting battles, surviving on scraps, never letting anyone close. But now this fragile mother and her tiny child had broken through the walls he had built around his heart. He looked at the baby again, sleeping peacefully in her arms. The sound of that child's breathing felt like the most important sound in the world. Slowly he nodded. Then, we'll go together. You, me, and him. I'll protect you both. Her eyes shone with tears, but this time they were tears of joy. She bowed her head deeply. Then we are not alone anymore. They began walking, leaving the broken outpost behind. The sun set slowly, painting the sky in red and gold. The mother walked beside the human, still weak but stronger now that she was not alone. At one point the baby woke and let out a soft cry. She quickly rocked him, whispering, "Hush, my heart. You are safe now. You have a father beside you." The human stopped, startled by her words. "Father?" She looked at him with quiet certainty. "Yes. You saved him when I could not. You fought for him when no one else would. You stood between death and life. What else is a father if not that?" For a moment, the man said nothing. His chest tightened, his throat heavy. He had never been called that before. Slowly, a small, tired smile touched his lips. "Then, I'll do my best to deserve it." The mother smiled back, holding her child close. The three of them walked into the fading light, not as strangers but as something more. Behind them, the ruins grew quiet again. The hunters who survived would remember the man who stood against them. But for now, the world seemed far away. The story of a starving child, a desperate mother, and a human who refused to turn away had begun a new chapter. One written not with fear, but with hope.